So we're going to do a video of a review of our flight from Manchester to Heathrow to Miami. But first, you must subscribe to our YouTube channel and all our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, but subscribe to our YouTube channel, you're going to see lots more. But first is a review of our flight with British Airways, American Airlines from Manchester Airport to Heathrow Airport to Miami. So subscribe and subscribe now. Click the button now. Have you clicked it yet? Click it now. Subscribe. It's here somewhere down here. Click it now. So we're in Florida for the last 15-16 years. We've gone every single year and we've always avoided indirect flights. But this year we thought we'd have a change and we'd do an indirect flight, only internal to England, but we did Manchester to Heathrow and Heathrow to Miami. The flight details were, the flight reference was BA1385, which was 6:50 AM from Manchester to Heathrow, and then we caught the BA1526, which was Heathrow to Miami, and then we got in a car and we drove from Miami up to our villa in Orlando. The reason for doing the indirect flight was simple. It was a lot cheaper to do the indirect flights between Manchester, Heathrow and Miami than what it was to do direct flights into Orlando. We had been into Miami before. The experience wasn't great last time. It was 2 weeks after they brought the automated passport control coming into Miami, and it took about 2 hours to get through. That's been a couple of years now, so I was expecting much improvements there, and in fairness that's what we got. But there's a lot of people on the flight coming into Orlando that were doing exactly the same thing as us, going into Heathrow, then flying into Miami, and then driving up to Orlando. So it seems to be a very popular route, but we'll give you a quick review of what we did and how it went for us. So as it was the early flight coming out of Manchester, the airport is very, very busy in the morning. So because of that, and because we've got Matthew who doesn't really like confined spaces and lots of people, we booked the escape lounge, which was, I think it was £20 per person. That included food and drinks while you was in the escape lounge, and you can get in there from 3 hours before your flight. So we got in there about 4:15 in the morning. First people in the room, to be fair. We got ourselves comfy. You give you a reserved area that we had, and then we got our breakfast. Matthew is a bit of a keen lover on beans and sausage, and although we didn't know, it was great when we walked in to see there was beans and sausage on the menu, and that is what Matthew had. It's a buffet style: beans, sausage, bacon, bread rolls, all your fruit juices, your cornflakes, everything else was there. And in fairness, it was a really good start to the holiday. We went into the first flight very chilled out. And it was very good, and I might have even had a gin and tonic to settle my flying nerves, or is that just an excuse? I don't know. So the first flight was on British Airways. We booked it all through British Airways, but we actually flew from Manchester to Heathrow on a British Airways flight, and we went from Heathrow into Miami on an American Airlines flight. Never flown American Airlines before, I'll tell you about that in a second. But the flight was 6:50 in the morning. We were there nice and early. They actually boarded the plane and we were ready to go by 6:30, and we were off the ground bang on time, and we got into Heathrow. It's only a 35-minute flight, and we were bang on time for that flight. So we arrived into Heathrow Airport about 7:40, and then we had to move from Terminal 5 to Terminal 3. Where we had to catch the American Airlines flight. We had 1 hour 40 in between the flights. That was plenty of time, as we were on time. If it was delayed, it would have been a bit of a rush to get across the terminals, but because we booked it through British Airways, we did have the comfort that if there was any delays at all, they would have had to sort it out for a different flight to get us across to Miami. But everything was on time. We got across the terminals. You have to go through the security again. You then get a buzz across between the terminals at Heathrow. It all worked very well. They have buzzes that do take you across. It's all very well organised, but they do this thing every single day. So the first leg of the journey went really well. They were trying to sell you breakfast and things on the plane. There was no time. We were in the air for 35 minutes from Manchester to Heathrow, and the flight went really well. And then we were prepared in Terminal 42, which actually, when you get into the terminal at Heathrow, it felt like it was the longest walk in the world to the end of the terminal. When you see the numbers on the board, it says number 1 to number 42, and your gate is 42. The walk went forever. The moving stairs weren't working, but in fairness, we just walked down, and we got there in plenty of time. Lauren got stopped for a security check, like she always does for some reason. Lauren is the queen of security checks, so she had to get the shoes and socks off while they give her the once over. But again, it only delayed us a few minutes, and then we're on the plane and all settled down and ready for the long flight with just over 9 hours into Miami. So this is Lauren, she joined us for the review to tell you what she thinks of it. Matthew's still eating Rolos in the background, which I'm sure you can hear him. In fairness, he's munching them away and he's very excited. Tracy is presently sunbathing. So I sat next to Lauren on the plane, Tracy sat next to Matthew. The food, I've got some pictures that I'll put up on the screen of the mashed potato, the cottage pie, the cheese and crackers. I'm looking at it now, looks very nice. And there's little cake and muffins and things like that. The second thing we had was they brought some ice cream round with about 3 hours of the flight to go. The ice cream in fairness was very, very nice. What did you think of it?
It was very good ice cream.
If you're from the northwest of England, it was like Frederick's, which was very good ice cream. There's a nice plug for Frederick's. And then with about an hour and a half of the flight to go, they brought some what were amazing cheeseburger sliders. And you got one packet with 2 in each. I was very friendly with the air host during the flight, and he actually slipped me an extra one. I thought I was going to get an extra 2 burgers. How wrong was I? Because she pinched one of them, and the lady who's sunbathing pinched half of the other. I just had half of one, so I ended up just getting half an extra one when I'd been charming the air host all flight to get some extra sliders. I only got half one, but they were very, very nice. So on the flight, you got one main meal with everything. You got ice creams for the flight, and you also got some sliders about an hour and a half before you landed. There was ample food. They were serving drinks all the flight. They were also cleaning the rubbish, which was really good because you get all your plate gets all scattered, all your area with cups and drinks and empty dishes. Actually, they cleaned up all the flights. All flight there was just you had nothing around you. Is that fair, Lauren?
Yeah.
Good. The entertainment system. When you first got on the flight, they gave you some free headphones. The headphones, I believe, weren't the best. I read that in a review before, so me, Lauren, Tuka were on. We forgot to tell Tracy that they weren't very good, so she had to get some. I'm not sure whether she used them or not, actually. Did you use them?
Yeah, they actually.
She did use them. And were they okay?
I watched a film, but the sound wasn't great when we watched.
So look, she said, you can't see, the sound wasn't great, but the film, they were okay, they did a job. I'd probably tell you to take your own with the little plug-in. If you've got the new-fashioned Bluetooth ones, they didn't link to Bluetooth headphones, just to use you had to use the wire ones. So they didn't use Bluetooth, you just had to use a wire. But the ones that Tracy used would have been fine. So as for the entertainment system, it was really, 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 really good. There was no extra charge, there was no opportunity to buy anything extra, which I quite like. I don't like it when you get on a flight and the first thing they do is try to upgrade you to better films, better TV programmes, better music. There was no additional charge to anything. You couldn't pay for anything extra. So what was on offer was the same for everybody. And I think I counted very quickly. There was probably about 70 films you could choose from. There were some new releases, there was some old stuff, there was things like Top Gun, which is what, 1980s, and there was stuff up to the last few months from Disney. So the entertainment system was really good. And something I've never seen on a plane before, I actually watched a live football match while 34,000 feet up in the air. I watched Liverpool v Burnley as it was happening on the ground, and I was over the Atlantic, which was really good. It's something I've never seen before on a flight, so that was really good. Can you remember which films you watched, Lauren?
I watched The Avengers.
Rubbish.
It was actually very good.
Sorry.
Half of another film and half of another film.
You can't remember what they were called?
Nope.
So she watched 2 hours of another film. To make one good film. I watched a couple of films. I watched I watched Goal 1, which is the guy who came and signed from Newcastle, and Tracy watched some ridiculous film called The Boot Club, which is all about some old women sat around the table discussing 50 Shades of Grey. Ugh, mucky stuff that. I want to watch that. But the entertainment, so you had a little remote control at the front of you. I put a picture down of the actual screen, what it looks like. Another really good thing was you had your USB point, which would work all the way through the flight to charge your iPads and your phones and everything else. That worked really, really well. So there was an English plug that you could use that charged up things as you were on the flight, as well as USB ports. It didn't work for us on Matthew's seat for some reason, but it didn't just take a Great British plug, it took a European plug as well and an American plug. So within the one area it could take any of the 3 plugs. So we'll try something different next time and probably use the American one. Unfortunately it was packed in the cases, so we couldn't use it. Anything else on the entertainment system? It was good though, there was loads of films. I do like when you get on a flight and they don't charge you extra straight away for premier flights. I do find that annoying because it just, you shouldn't have, once you pay for your flight, you paid for it and you shouldn't have to pay any extra. You could get Wi-Fi, I'm going to contradict myself now, you could get Wi-Fi for the whole flight. That was $19 for the flight, and I don't know, I didn't get any experience of it. I imagine it was quite slow, but you could pay $19 and that would take you all the way through the flight, so you could text all your friends and tweet them and Facebook them and say you were up in the air while they were down on the floor. I think the staff, from British Airways flight people in the morning, they were very professional, they looked very smart, they serve you politely, they was very, very good. You'll probably say at the top of the game, the British Airways staff. The American Airline staff, I will say it's a much more relaxed feeling with them. They're still professional, it just feels a lot more relaxed. What we say that's for? They were very, very friendly. They were making sure everyone was comfortable. If you wanted anything, they were there straight away. It just felt more relaxed, and in fairness, I like that, that's quite good. Miami Airport, we got to, this is a tale. We got to Miami Airport, the last time we went there, we took 2 hours to get through passport control, to get through all the machines where you've got to take your picture, you've got to scan your passport. With Matthew, that can provide quite challenging, let's say, where you have to scan his passport in, you then have to take a picture of the person and the machine goes up and down. Matthew's not the sort of person who stands still while the machine goes up and down to try and find his face. So that's quite challenging, and in fairness, this year there was a lot more of the machines around and it worked really well. There must have been 200 machines there, they weren't all being used, so we got straight in. We did Matthew first, we all got through, that wasn't a problem at all. After you get your ticket from the machine, you then have to go to passport control. That was probably about a 15-minute wait. Again, that wasn't an issue, we just waited in line, Matthew was fine again. So we got through off the plane, through passport control, within about 30 minutes. Then we had a problem. We had to wait over 2.5 hours for our cases to come through. So at Miami Airport, it was literally 2.5 hours before the first case appeared. It was frustrating because there was other flights that were arriving after us, and they were just getting the cases straight away. We were 2.5 hours, and it was slightly frustrating. Matthew was good, tried to take Matthew off to the corner where it was a quieter area because people would get a little bit irate. And then they appeared and the cheers were massive, people were applauding, they were clapping, they were almost singing Disney songs, they were happy to see the cases. In fairness, I was just pleased to see my cases because too many times they've gone to a different location than where I'm actually travelling to. So it was nice to see the cases appear, and once we did that, we were up and away, we were out and we went to the car hire, and we'll cover the car hire on a different video. But I think that covers the flight really. It was a really relaxed flight. It's the first time we've done a connecting flight, even though the connection was in England. It's still a connecting flight, it can still go wrong, it didn't go wrong. British Airways were great, Matthew's finished his rollers, British Airways were good, American Airlines were both good. We got to Miami in just under 9 hours, so the flight times were absolutely fine. The first day was just a long day, and Matthew's DVD is stuck, and he's not very happy. So Miami it's a busy airport, but it worked really well. The flights worked really well, and I would absolutely do it again, even though it's a very long day. It did save us quite a bit of money. I'm talking just under £2,000 it saved instead of doing a direct flight. So it's absolutely worthwhile. So the flight numbers that we got were the Manchester. It was a Sunday morning, Sunday the 12th of August. The flight number from Manchester to Heathrow was BA1385, and the flight from Heathrow to Miami was BA1526. Both were on time. In fact, we set off, left the stand early on both of them, and we landed early, which you can't do any more than that. The only one frustration of the flight was a 2.5 hour wait on the wait for the cases to come through. Besides that, it all went really well. Anything else to add, Lauren? Have we missed anything?
No, think
Would you do that flight again?
Yeah.
Would you, Mum?
Yeah, I think it was the storm that delayed the cases.
Yeah, we landed, as we always do in Orlando, or in Miami, there is always a storm. It's August, it does rain most days. We landed about 2:30. You have never seen rain like it. It was bouncing down. And that was a good reason for them being delayed, until you saw everybody else's cases coming through. Or there was a storm just over my cases. And we'll cover the car hire in a separate vlog. Hope you got something from that. Definitely the connecting flights weren't no problem at all. Loads of people were going from Manchester to Heathrow and Heathrow to Miami. It must be a really popular route, so I would definitely do it again. In fact, we might book it again for next year. And there you go. That's all from me. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.